Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. I want you to know that I appreciate you. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country. It's about the economy, and most importantly, it's about your money, because what goes on in the country affects the economy. And the way the economy works affects your money, your savings, your ability to make money, your ability to invest and grow money, which ultimately is what I'm going to teach you on this channel. Check out the different playlists on our channel for information on how to make more money, how to save money, and how to grow money. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. I have the fortune, check out my story, I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream. I believe today is going to be a historic day in the history of our country for three reasons. Number one, the rollout of the vaccine, which actually began today. Number two, the Electoral College voting to certify the results of the election. And we now have officially President-elect Joe Biden. He now has more than 270 Electoral College votes. He's projected to have more than 300 by the end of the night, because Hawaii is going to be the last state to certify the results of the Electoral College. And number three, I believe we have a bipartisan bill which is likely to become law because it's already in a legislative format. I did cover that earlier in our video. Now I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into comments made by 4 senators about how this bill came together, and I do think their comments are extremely important, so we'll be highlighting them in this video. Also, speaking of a historic day, President Trump just announced that William Barr, the Attorney General, is leaving. And so there's going to be another acting Attorney General. On your screen, you'll see a tweet from the President of the United States where the President essentially announced that he had a nice meeting with Bill Barr, and Bill Barr is leaving before Christmas to spend the holidays with his family. So William Barr is out as Attorney General, and there's a copy of a letter. In fact, let's quickly show you this letter, and we'll provide you with a link to the President's tweet, and you can read the letter from William Barr to the President of the United States. You'll get a link to that in the description section below. But now let's take a look at some important comments from influential senators who actually put together this new bill, or I should say the new 2-part bill, where one part focuses on stimulus relief. By the way, no stimulus checks. And the other part focuses on essentially the state and local aid and liability protection for businesses. This does have a good chance of being voted on the floor of the Senate, probably as early as tomorrow, because it is in a legislative format. I do believe that we'll see some traction on this. We'll find out. But first, let's play a segment with Joe Manchin, who's a Democrat from West Virginia. And Joe Manchin said that leadership should take this 600-page bill and move on it in a timely manner. Let's roll the tape and see comments from Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia.
It takes care of those who are unemployed. In an emergency, if you're unemployed, that's an emergency and you're running out of your unemployment check. We have 13 weeks or 16 weeks at $300 a week for that. Food assistance, we have nutrition assistance, food assistance, even going into our food banks, because we have non-traditional people who have probably never been in the food bank before that's needing food assistance now. We want to make sure that they have the opportunity. And we want to make sure that we had shelter assistance, rent, eviction notices. Basically, we wanted to make sure that that was in this piece of legislation. Small business debt relief, PPP program is in that, and people talk more extensively about that.
In the next segment, let's take a look at Susan Collins from Maine. And Senator Susan Collins said, a Christmas miracle has occurred in Washington. Both sides worked together to put together this emergency relief package. Let's roll the tape and see what Susan Collins from Maine had to say. Let's watch.
Thanks, Joe. First of all, let me say that I think we've had a Christmas miracle occur in Washington. We have worked night and day for over a month, literally on Thanksgiving Day, with texts and conference calls and Zooms to put together an emergency COVID relief package. Each and every one of us has been committed to that goal. I want to thank my Democratic and Republican colleagues in the Senate for working so hard to bring us to this day, but I also want to thank our House counterparts, Josh Gottheimer and Tom Reed, who lead the Problem Solvers Caucus in the House, worked with us every step of the way. So these bills are not only bipartisan products, they are bicameral as well. My hope is that our hard work will spur our leadership on both sides of the aisle, in the Senate and in the House and in the administration, to take our products and use them as the basis for a COVID relief package that is urgently needed by our struggling families, our hard-hit small businesses, our stressed-out healthcare providers, our overwhelmed postal service, our challenged schools, and so many others. These bills are comprehensive, but they don't cover everything that everyone would want. Many of the provisions go through to April 30th. Undoubtedly, depending on the course of this pandemic, we may have to do more. But surely we can come together and provide this relief before we break for the Christmas holiday. The American people deserve no less. I'm particularly proud of the $300 billion package that Senator Jeanne Shaheen and I were the lead in putting together. It includes an extension of the Paycheck Protection Program, which has saved millions of jobs in this country, including 250,000 jobs in the state of Maine alone. It is essential that we have another round of PPP for our hardest hit small businesses, which we define as those that have suffered a 30% decline in revenues in one quarter of this year compared to a quarter of last year. It's essential that we keep these small businesses afloat so that they can continue paying their employees. There are many other provisions that I know we will get into in the days ahead, but surely let's not go home for Christmas without passing this much-needed relief for the American people.
In the third segment, we have Mark Warner, who's a Democrat from Virginia, and he said today is a good day for our country, and he highlighted some of the things I mentioned at the start of this video. And he said, I implore our leaders to, I quote, take this work product and bring it across the finish line and vote on it on the floor of the Senate. Let's roll the tape and see what Mark Warner had to say.
And it might sound like a cliche, but today is actually a really good day for our country. This morning, the vaccines were started to be distributed around the country. And we're starting to see at least the beginning of the end, God willing, of this pandemic. And also, regardless of who we supported for president, we've seen today, all across the country, as states meet and send forward their electors. Both things working. And then finally, this group. We have behind us, I think, 12 senators. We actually got up to 16 when we kind of called in additional allies, like Mike Crapo on some of the CDFI, and Tim Kaine, Chris Coons, and Dick Blumenthal on some of the liability issues. I mean, you can't normally get 16 senators to agree even what's for lunch. But the fact that we came together on nearly $1 billion, $1 trillion, nearly $1 trillion of emergency relief for Americans in need. Back when what Joe says, this shows even as dysfunctional as the Congress sometimes can be, when we're confronted with the crisis, this group, and God willing, our other colleagues will step up and do the right thing. So I think it is an enormously good day for our country today, from the vaccine to our electoral process to Congress actually working. The truth is, as men mentioned already, this gets assistance to lots of Americans who are in desperate need. It would be Scrooge-like if we went away and left folks the day after Christmas to lose their unemployment, or the day after New Year's to lose their apartment. We have, I think, addressed virtually every major category. There are others who say there are additional things that could be added in this package, and if there is room to grow the package, so be it. But I would challenge any member, Democrat or Republican, to say if we're limited at 908, which of these categories would you take money from in terms of people who are in enormous need at this point? So I'm going to take this good news, and hopefully we're going to move forward to get this legislation passed. We implore our leaders on both sides, take this work product, build it into whatever package that gets voted on this week. Let's make sure we bring it across the finish line. As Joe said at the outset, a lot of folks didn't think we'd get to a product. There's been a lot of gangs that didn't get to a final product. We have that final product right here.
And finally, in some rather interesting comments, Mitt Romney from Utah said something that I thought was very instructive, was very educational. He highlighted the differences between the two parties as far as state and local aid is concerned, as far as liability protection is concerned, because those are the two things that have been holding the two sides back in striking a deal. And he highlighted why the two sides were apart. Very interesting comments. I want you to hear it directly from Mitt Romney. Let's roll the tape.
Thank you, Mark.
I think the American people expect to see groups like this and hope to see groups like this work together. And you're seeing it. And that's what makes me most encouraged about what we've accomplished, but also most hopeful about what we can accomplish in the future. Republicans and Democrats in the House and in the Senate can work together and can take on a tough issue. And this one looks particularly tough because on the one side you had folks saying anything less than $2 trillion was unacceptable. And on the other you had folks saying anything over $500 billion was unacceptable. And there was an insight in that dinner we had at Lisa's home. I think it was Dick Durbin who said it. He said, you know, this is an emergency provision, isn't it? We're looking not just at what we're going to do long term for the country and stimulating the economy and so forth. We have people hurting right now. We have an emergency. So let's look at what we need to do to take care of the emergency. And that's really this bill here that Joe just described, where we all came together. And by the way, there's a lot in it that I'd change if I could, and I'm sure every one of us has things in here we'd do differently. This bill over here is less of an emergency, but also very important. And I'm just going to describe this. This last bill relates to two things: state and local aid and liability. And there's some pretty significant differences there. And I'll just note this. On the Republican side, when I talk to my Republican colleagues, I think the majority in the Senate among Republicans feel we should not provide any state and local monies. Why is that? Well, because the numbers are all over the map as to how bad things are at states and localities. Some states have rainy day funds and are telling us they don't need more money. Others are saying they need much more than we could possibly imagine sending to them. So a lot of difference in data and difference in terms of how well they've managed themselves in the past. And there's a strong feeling we don't want to just be paying for pensions that states might have needs to have filled. And so on the one side, there was the sense that, hey, we don't need additional money for states and localities. That was the Republican point of view. At the same time, Republicans are saying, we're willing to give on that if you'll give on providing liability protection so that doctors and hospitals, schools, universities, small businesses, big businesses don't get sued because people got COVID. And so that's the trade-off. Providing funding for states and localities of $160 billion, and that's in this bill, and liability protections. The liability protections language is difficult to sort out, and we had to go to the experts. John Cornyn began with that effort. I'll leave that up, Chris. Leave that one back up. John Cornyn went out with a bill in that regard, and our Democrat friends had a lot of changes they thought needed to be made, and so we brought in the real negotiator, and that's Rob Portman. Rob Portman did a heroic job in negotiating together with Angus King and finding ways to see if we couldn't improve the liability package to resolve the concerns Democrats had, and at the same time provide the protections that Republicans wanted to see.
That's it, everybody. Let me know what you thought of comments from these four leaders, from Manchin, from Collins, from Mitt Romney, as well as from Mark Warner. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. You'll find a link to the entire press conference by these senators in the description section below. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, please check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. So please make sure you click like, you subscribe, you enable notifications so you get instant updates about our videos. You'll also get notified whenever we do any live streams. So make sure you please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. That's your vote of confidence in us, and that really helps out the YouTube algorithm. I would really appreciate that. Just gently tap that like button. Don't ignite it, and don't smash your screen. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, because I want you to be able to watch our videos. But the name of our channel is Ignition Time. Now keep in mind, you can get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000, that's 70000, and you'll get added to our SMS alerts list moving forward. You can opt out of the SMSs at any point in time that you want. Now keep in mind, you can also get added to our email list. Simply go ahead and go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts. You can get added to our email list. When you're on our SMS list or our email list, there are two major advantages. One, you'll get breaking news and alerts from us about matters that are important to the country, matters that are important to the economy, and matters that are important to your money. So make sure you get added to our list. Also, you will get important information if we ever release any training programs on how to make money, save money, and invest money. And you can opt out of those SMS alerts or those email alerts at any point in time that you want. No worries about that. Keep in mind that YouTube does not always send out notifications on time. So make sure you simply bookmark youtube.com/ignition time, and then you can visit the home page of our channel and check out our videos at any point in time that you want. You're not dependent on alerts from YouTube, because sometimes they they get delayed. You can also follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You'll get exclusive news and content on Instagram. Also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is the exact same handle, ignition_time. On Twitter, you'll get breaking news and alerts from us on Twitter. So make sure you do that. I really appreciate you watching. Don't forget to comment below. Our community is growing rapidly. It's intelligent, it's respectful, it's bipartisan. You'll probably make some new friends in our community. So make sure you comment below. Also, please share this video with friends and family, because then hopefully we can grow our community with your help. I do need your help to grow our community. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you'll find a link to all of our resources in the description section below. So make sure you check out all of our resources. I really appreciate you watching. Again, don't forget to click like, click subscribe. Please enable notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.